The Summoner is easily the most powerful spellcasting job in the entire game, with the highest modifier of 33 for the most part. Along with the Monk and the Thief, this is actually one of the 3 important jobs to have when going out for maxed best modifiers, in terms of having the best modifiers on your freelancers and mimes. And this also has, this of course allows you to summon some of the most iconic summon monsters in the entire game. And the Summoner just does some pretty nifty stuff with that. Plus the ability to break rods makes it literally OP. Hi folks, this is Storm331. We're going to be covering the Summoner next. And this is also the last of the normal jobs that you do get that we're going to be covering in terms of the guides. This is one of the jobs you do get from the Whales Tower water crystal shards after you defeat Galuga. And basically, this job is basically geared for summoning monsters. Of course, in Final Fantasy V, you gotta locate and hunt down these monsters so you can beat them in battle, and then they become easily summonable. Now, of course, not all of them can be attained through battle. Some, like Golem, require you to complete story events or certain encounters. Now, of course, some of them are pretty powerful, and of course you get them during the course of the game. And of course, the summon monsters, of course, make up a good chunk of your side quest for World 3. Not only getting some more powerful abilities from these summon monsters, but it also comes real handy for the final battles of the interdimensional rift. So in terms of the modifiers of the Summoner, they're not exactly very good in terms of physical stats modifiers, and that's being -10 on strength, -1 on both stamina and agility, and of course the real draw of mastering this job is getting the 33 magic modifier. Now, if you're playing the Game Boy Advance version, the Oracle has the highest magic modifier. So that means if you're playing that version, the Summoner would be the second best in general. But of course, if you're playing Pixel Remaster, the Summoner retains that right of having the highest magic modifier. The only other job that matches the Summoner in terms of magic modifiers is Black Mage, having 2 points behind it with 31. Overall, the Summoner's access to rods makes the Summoner actually very good to mix various magic classes with it to make it a very powerful force to be reckoned with. So, if you're wondering now that we covered the modifiers, let's go over the abilities of a Summoner, actually. So you get a total of 5 summon levels throughout the entire game, plus one other ability that you get as well, namely Call, which you'll need to master as your last ability for the Summoner. Call allows you to randomly summon forth one of the summoning beasts to attack the enemy party. So it can be any one of these listed here, from Chocobo, Sylph, Reminoa, Shiva, Rama, Ramu, Ifrit, Titan, Golem, Cabalus, Carbuncle, Salajra, Odin, Phoenix, Leviathan, and Bahamut. So basically, it allows you to call forth any of these summon creatures. And that requires 500 ability points, by the way. So let's go over each of the summon monsters that you get to call up for. Chocobo, Sylph, and Remnoa are basically the only summon monsters that require you to buy them from the shops. These can be purchased very early at Whales Town. So you'll be able to buy them at the magic store there. The rest of these, of course, you're going to need to find, locate, and battle them, and defeat them in order to get them as summonable creatures. Golem is the sole exception to the rule, but we'll get to him when we get to that point. Shiva is the first summon monster you'll encounter. You'll find it in the Waterfall Cave at Whales Castle. It's probably best to hold off until you get access to Farah from Castle Karnak, but once you do, you can come back to fight Shiva and be able to beat it by then. It allows you to attack all enemies with Ice Attack from its signature ability, Dino Dust. Ramu can be found in the forest east of Isatori village, near the Isatori Falls. You can also encounter Ramu again during the interdimensional rift if you did not encounter Ramu by then. He'll be around that Tycoon Castle area as a random encounter. So once you beat Ramu, you'll be able to get him as a summon. And once you beat him in combat, you'll need to access the items menu and use the item Ramu in order to get him as your summon. Ifrit, along with Titan, are one of the two summon monsters that occur in the story in order needed to be advanced. So you'll encounter Ifrit at the Library of Ancients, and you'll need to acquire Ifrit if you're going to make it through the entire dungeon, because there's an area that requires Ifrit's presence. Basically, he'll trigger Hellfire to attack all enemies with fire. Ramu, of course, by the way, also attacks all enemies with lightning, with Judgment Bolt. Titan will be encountered when you go back to the Meteors to pick up the Animatite for to travel to Galoof's world. He's one of the bosses that you will face off in one of them. So once you defeat him and use his item after you defeat him, you'll get access to Titan, which he'll call forth Gaia's Wrath to attack all enemies with earth-based damage. Golem can be found in the Drakenville mountains past Quell in World 2. Basically, you'll have an encounter with Golem as a question mark, and he'll run away. Usually on the third encounter, when you do encounter him, he'll have two Draco Zombie and one of those skeleton monsters. I think it's Tyrannosaurus or Bone Dragons. But anyway, they won't be facing your party for long because they'll turn their attention towards Golem instead. So if you want to get Golem, you'll need to destroy those other two monsters before they wipe out Golem in turn. So once you beat those monsters and wait until Golem has a say, the battle will end, you'll get access to Golem. Cowballs is in a forest that requires the submarine. I think he's pretty much right near. I forgot which forest it was, but I do know it's in a forest before the Forest of Moor. But when you get to that place, can only be accessed through the submarine, as far as I know. But apparently, you do need to be careful when dealing with him because he does have access to Demon Eye. I think it's reflectable, so you can basically equip. If you manage to get Reflect Rings or quickly cast Reflect on your team, you'll be able to send his Demon Eye right back at him, and that wins the battle, pretty much, I believe. I could be wrong. I kind of forgotten to fight Cowballs. I had to relocate had to find him pretty much through the internet, but technically, basically when you summon him, he'll petrify all your enemies that are not immune to petrification, and this is pretty much not always reliable, unfortunately. Carbuncle is a summon monster that you'll encounter at Excess Castle. It does require a bit of warping in the area where the pitfall traps are. Once you find the appropriate warp tile, you'll be sent to the area where Carbuncle is, and you'll have to defeat it in combat. Now, Carbuncle has very finicky AI in regards to when it'll cast Reflect on itself. You might have more easier time defeating it with physical attacks. I think Cowballs can work against it if you're fast enough. But I would have to re-look it up how to fight Carbuncle because it's been quite a while since I fought it last time. But technically, if you do successfully beat Carbuncle, you'll be able to have this summon monster and you'll be able to cast Reflect through Ruby Light. Salidra is one of the first summons you get in World 3. This was a monster that was a friend of Varus's and helped pull her pirate ship whenever it was needed. Unfortunately, Salidra dies pretty early in World 1. You won't be able to get this summon of her until World 3. Once your party is reunited, return to Pirate's Cove with the entire party in tow. And once you go back into the Pirate's base, you'll get a cutscene where you get Saladra. Apparently, it uses its ability Thunderstorm. Attacks all enemies with wind. Odin is located in World 3 in Castle Bal, after the worlds have remerged together. You'll probably know in World 2 there was an area filled with object arts, but there was a door you couldn't access through. In World 3, that door becomes accessible. You do need to beat Odin in a certain time frame, so you definitely want to have access to Thundaga, Hermes Sandals, and anything that can help you defeat Odin pretty quickly before he triggers Toothskin, which will inflict instant death to all enemies. For enemies that are immune to non-death attacks, it'll have the ability to use Gungrunr, which is basically throw a spear at one of the enemies for major damage. Phoenix can be found in the Phoenix Tower. Once you make it to the top, you'll bear witness to Hiru passing away, and you'll watch a cutscene afterward. It doesn't really matter what decision you make on that one. Right after that, all that's said and done, Hiru will be reborn as the Phoenix, and you'll have access to its summon. It has the ability to perform Flames of Rebirth, which attacks all enemies and revives, according to this, one party member up to full health. Now, of course, in later games, it just basically revives all party members, but in some games, it gives it the ability to attack enemies with fire. Leviathan deals water-based damage, major water-based damage, as it said here, and triggered through the use of Tsunami. Leviathan is encountered when you go to Isatori Falls to recover the tablet, and Leviathan does you a favor by destroying the minion of Vexdeath that we don't get to fight there, and you'll get a chance to fight Leviathan to acquire its power. So once you get that, you'll have a powerful summon to summon powerful water magic against enemies that are susceptible to water. Bahamut, of course, is arguably the strongest summon monster in the entire game. No surprise there, as it deals pretty much non-elemental damage with Mega Flare. Once you get to World 3 and complete the Pyramid of War, Bahamut will appear and will tell the party to come to North Mountain. Once you go back up to North Mountain to where Hiru was, you'll battle Bahamut. You will need to have access to Reflect Rings or summon Carbuncle or cast Reflect spells to protect your party from the Mega Flare in question. But arguably, without a shadow of a doubt, Bahamut's actually one of the more stronger summon monsters in the entire game. No questions asked. Alright, so that concludes the Summoner's Guide. Basically, in terms of what it can be used in jobs, it basically works with just about anything that requires magic. So basically, you can assign your summoner with white magic, black magic, time magic, blue magic, heck, even red magic, or even Geomancer, Gaia, or in some cases, Bard's Singing. Of course, you can also throw in the Ninja's Throw if you want to take full advantage of the Elemental Scrolls and deal a lot more damage with your Elemental Magic through that. So that pretty much concludes the Summoner Guide, pretty much. Anyway, we're going to be covering the Mind Job next. Whoops. We'll be covering that one next. So once we get back from the small break, we're going to be covering that one next. So hang tight, I will return.